Well, if you blinked, you missed it though. That socials were flashed up underneath us there. Make sure you're heading out to keep up to date with everything that is to come. This is, of course, going to be the format of our tournament as it lays before us. We have had one of our 3 weeks of league stage, where 20 teams grouped into 5 groups of 4 teams will play 6 matches a day for 5 days a week, and they'll get bonus points based on those weekly rankings. We are now into week number 2.
We're halfway there, guys. Well, we're not. About a third the way there.
Yeah.
But we're starting the halfway part. But yeah, final 16 teams, 6 matches per day for 3 days with our bonus points. Let's take a quick look at our points system, though, and how all those points will go through and how you do qualify through to those finals. Right now, you got 10 points for that first place and bonus points on the side. This is the most important one. So you got 20 points for taking first place over in your respective week, which drops off just a 1 point only.
Yeah, it's not ideal to get that 20th place on the week. Of course, you do want to be racking up as many of those bonus points as you go on. It is going to be, when we get to the finals, those bonus points will be divided in half, so finals, upon the completion of the league stage and the teams.
They made it through, yes. 3 Max with a sad 7. Falcons down towards 5. I really thought these guys could do better, but it's Fireflux and Digital Athletics I think people would be most surprised about. 10 and 9 points. Middling is not too bad here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you'll take those. You'll take those. What you won't take, though, is teams like Gladiators and Na'Vi down here in 17 and 18, 4 and 3 points respectively. We were quite pleased with Onyx Raven's resurgence towards the last day of last week. So those 2 points, hopefully they can improve upon that.
Indeed, and if they do improve upon that, this is the prize pool that they'll be playing for. Participation reward, you will get that no matter what. League stage, 82,000, so definitely no time to be slouching here during the league stage. Not only that, but the bonus points accrued to help you over towards those finals, which have a whopping $227,500.00.
Using the European comma. There you go. It's going to be 55k up in that first place for over to those finals, which means that your team will accrue, if nothing else, $7,000 just for making it to those finals, with the $2,000 participation reward that is given to all 20 of our teams. So definitely want to be making it there in the top 16, if not higher, because that money starts to stack up nice and quickly as you go up those tables.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, it's great for just the help in general. You get some money on the board now. They can help you go into the future. Perhaps book a couple of boot camps, who knows? Let's take a quick look at what happened over the last week in our recap here. Fireflux getting a nice little spray down over towards Twisted Minds. But honestly, I think last week was mainly about that top end, really. I think that we definitely had a really nice spread towards that middle side of the lobby in terms of everyone being very equally matched. However, at the top there, John, IW, NRX, Team Spirit, Moneymakers, Brute Force, S2G, absolutely nailing it towards that top side and sort of stealing the show a little bit until that last day, where everyone decided that, they were very pleased with where they were at. They didn't want to get any more points.
Yeah, they were like, you know what, we're busy. We're gonna do some other things. I also think a characteristic of last week was some probably one of the wildest circle weeks I think we've seen in a long time. We've had some pretty crazy endings, particularly on Miramar. I think it's safe to say we had 2 South Island endings and an East Island ending over the course of the 5 days, which is very, very uncommon. And I don't even think I've ever seen an East Island finish in Miramar. So I don't think I've ever commentated one, certainly at the pro level. So it was quite interesting to see how all of those teams adapted to what was a really rubbish hand in most cases.
Yeah, I was ill prepared to commentate it. I think we had a lot of fun. We didn't check of week 1, so it was pretty funny. Definitely worth going back to watch it if you want to have some laughs. But yeah, I think that we've commentated a pseudo island finish. When we say island, we literally mean out in the ocean. We've commented a pseudo one where it was around a rock. We took that. We were like, look, that's probably the best we're going to get over towards Miramar. But finally, we did indeed get one. But it was a crazy one. And it was a little bit weird yesterday. Ignore some of this, because
that's definitely not right.
This is a little bit weird. SPG is not 3D Max. So this overall rankings, It was just it was a fake out. It was a fake out. Well, they happen. We all make mistakes sometimes.
Not me.
But
I've never made a
what do
mistake
you
in my life,
mean?
actually.
I've seen you make plenty of mistakes.
No.
One
Wasn't
time
me.
I
That
saw
must have been
you
someone else.
not double knot your shoelaces.
I very rarely double knot my shoelaces.
That's a mistake.
I don't think that is. I think that you're mistaken, in fact.
They come undone. Easy.
Untying people's shoelaces.
Well, if I see them not doing the double knot, then I feel obliged to make them feel like they've made a mistake.
You're the
so they
shoelace
don't do it
yanker.
again.
That's you.
Yeah. I'm
yanking
up and around. I'm underneath the tables, untying shoelaces. What are you going to do about it?
Tying over to other people's shoes. He's a menace to society. But we are going to be taking a look at a little head-to-head from two of our teams from last week. Of course, we're looking at Team Spirit and IWNRX, our current tournament leaders at the top. That was 210 points for IWNRX and 187 points for Team Spirit at the top.
Yep.
Here are some of their stats.
And I mean, speaking of tying things, look how tied these two teams are together. Am I right, guys? 1,309 average damage to 1,331, an average placement of 7th place. So it really was squeaky towards that top side of the table. Both these teams really, really evenly matched. So the head-to-head between the two demonic teams towards that top side of the lobby is really quite real right now.
Yeah, definitely. They are two of the most formidable teams, as was borne out across all of the results. The interesting team, I think, to compare to... yeah, absolutely. I think the interesting teams to compare to those two teams is Moneymakers, because they were just so hot day one of the first week. Then they kind of had this lull. They are very much an all or nothing team, it seems, right now. So it'll be interesting to see if they can carry that on through to today's games and this week indeed. But let's take a look at what maps we've got in store for you. Of course, we are going to be starting out with Sandhawk, then 3 to the E. It is Erangel on a 3-peat, Miramar for 2 to follow it up.
I honestly thought that, even though I've checked this beforehand, we were going to switch things up. Surprise me, maybe today get 2 Sandhawks thrown in there. You know how much I love a Sandhawk. All right.
I do.
You do.
I do know.
Yeah, the Sandhawk into the triple Erangel into the double Miramar. 1-3-2.
Going to be looking at the classic formula for the lineups. And of course, a reshuffled group set coming in with the first day having Group B sit out. Group B consists of Athletics and Onyx Ravens. So we won't be seeing those 4 teams. Everybody else is on your screen, and we will be seeing them today.
It's so sad for twisting minds.
Wait, hang on a minute. No, Team Spirit is in. I've got dodgy information.
Group E. Imagine being twisted minds getting grouped with Team Spirit and Enigma Galaxy. It's a pretty painful situation for yourself. But yeah, it looks like we won't be seeing IWNRX today, which is obviously one of those things that you sort of wanted to see these two teams really get those lightning bolts between one another right at the start of the week. But this might give opportunity for Team Spirit to maybe pull ahead just a little bit more.
Yeah, well, to open things up nice and fast. We'll see who is going to be able to start out the week well. Of course, with those redistributed sets of groups, then it's going to be a little bit more representative of up and down the tables, right? Potentially a little bit more balanced across the weeks instead of having the top 3 in a single group, I think, which we kind of saw last week. So it'll be good to see. You'd see Nick McGalaxy there on the seating there.
God.
He was on the other end. He's right next to Ralph now.
They're best mates now.
They are.
Awesome. Look at the way he looks at him as well.
Oh, that's how you should look at your IGL, with complete trust.
Honestly, I do think Enigma Galaxy probably one of our most charismatic teams here. Very fun to have around in the tournament. Never mind, he doesn't want to be on camera at all.
They're just slowly zooming in on his face. I like it.
Take the camera off him. Obviously, he doesn't want it right now.
No, he's used to it now. He's warmed up to it. It's like jumping into a cold pool when the camera turns its withering gaze upon you. But they are going to have to try and stay cool under those lights as well, because they want a shot at getting to the Esports World Cup later this year in WC.
I believe he's just stolen.
Whoa.
Just stolen his this is why Coops is a good guy. Look at that. He even offered up his heat pack Ralph, come on, man. You're not putting on a good face again today. Not only do you steal the heat pack, Coops offers his heat pack away after you do that. I was trying to be on your side too, man.
They're yin and yang, you know. They
really are
opposites that make the whole of this Enigma Galaxy. They do want to have a little bit better of a showing than they did have towards the end of last week, though. They were definitely in that conversation to be a top placing podium team.
Yeah.
And then in the last two and a half days, they
in the lobby. So that could be done fairly easily. Honestly, I don't think it'll take too long. It's a little bit more of that group play, a little bit more of the opportunity being taken straight away. There are some slow rotates coming through from Enigma Galaxy that I'm not a huge fan of. I think some places it makes sense. And again, I said this multiple times. Honestly, sometimes I just hope that the players are listening to when I say this. And it sounds like choose between edge and center. You have to take a mix of both and lean towards one of them. Here's our team stats.
This is surprising, I think. There's particularly the damage number, which is what is most surprising, right? Lord, I say heavy lifting. He is obviously being aided a lot by Coops, but the fact that Coops has 12 more eliminations and so many more knockouts than Lord means that it's quite a surprise to see Lord have that much damage.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking about this from day one, right? It's that Lord definitely has assisted him having Coops on the team, right? I think he's definitely brought him into a league of his own right now. And he was always chomping at the bit to, get into those engagements and stuff. So there's a bit of a disconnect. I think that is a problem. There's a bit of a disconnect in that team of how they want to play. Because I think Luke, and then you've got Coops and Lord who want to be gung-ho. But I think that if you are Lufa and Ralph, you sort of got to move away from playing that passive, playing those anchor positions, and just do what you can to support those two guys. Because they're really good. And I think as a duo with support, it's a team that misunderstands their own strengths.
Potentially looking to try and recoalesce that strength together and maybe redirect some of that power. We are going to be looking to see them do that today. It seems they are ready to give it a go, if nothing else, those 2 days, hopefully assisting on that front. But a little bit before as well, the Onyx Ravens down towards the lower end of those tables, right, finishing in 19th on the tables. But
not
their
so great.
final day... Their final day, though, the greatest, but these are a little bit of a poisoned well of a stats page, it has to be said, on these on these numbers.
I mean, Ali, let's be real with it. This guy is far and away the best player on the team. But in a different sense, like, I think you're right. On that last day, they had assimilated what they seen inside the lobby. They tried to improve upon it, and they've done so we can get better. Even on that last day, I think a lot of teams were lagging. Almost looked a little bit sleepy, honestly. But for the Onyx Ravens, seems like they were still really trying hard towards that last day. And again, that's all you can really ask for. I think I get frustrated with some teams where it just feels like they've almost given up. I think there's a few teams that I could mention, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait for this week to conclude first before I make any concrete decisions. But what we can say is that Onyx Ravens just have tried throughout the entire week to get better, to try and field some better decisions. And despite being patently one of the worst teams coming into this tournament, I think they're proving themselves. And that is something that I'm extremely a team that's at the bottom of the leaderboard, only if it looks like they're not trying to improve.
Okay, excellent, good. Well, we'll have to see if any team is going to draw your ire on that front. I have been informed that the groups that we showed earlier were in fact incorrect, so we're going to have to... we'll be able to see once we're into the lobby, right, who's sitting out. But we'll make sure that is lined up and ready for you guys. The teams will all know who's playing, so don't worry on that end. They'll be absolutely fine, and we'll be getting underway pretty soon. Fireflux, you can see, getting locked in.
Imagine you're just like in the sidelines, like, are we playing? Are we not playing? I don't know. Do we take our seats? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Anyway, you want to be able to unleash the beast, but whilst you sat down, I'm ready to go. Let's be honest. Here with
Come on.
Yeah, like a green little paper cup.
Or a big green paper cup, you know?
Or just a trophy. Double up as a massive mug.
Thoughts on the gold lines on Robs' sleeves?
Thoughts are good.
Excellent.
I think he deserves to have a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of that outfit going on, because he has been carrying the team. Let's be fair. Let's be completely fair. And I'm not going to say it's all him, because you know what? I think Snorix has done a great job to support him.
Okay.
And I think he's probably one of the only players in quite a while here, John, that has joined onto SBG, Game Lord, / 3D Max, who's actually decided, you know what, Victor and Narval are probably not the guys I should be going back for. It's Rob's. And I think it's working out for them. In a similar vein, what's working out for them is the Infinix GT20 Pro, our official smartphone sponsor here at the PMSL. EMEA helping all these players get their game on. They want to stand out with that GT20 because it's very cool. Bezel-less. One of the main features.
Hey, at the PMSL EMEA, the music has started, and blank, that generally means we're about to drop on into Sandhawk for our first match of the day.
Music has begun. Time to game.
That's right. We're going plane path from the northeast. Yeah. Team Spirit, Heroic.
That's out.
Yeah. B group, Team Spirit, Heroic, Digital Athletics, and Onyx Ravens. They were showing up on the earlier group graphic, but yeah, they are the 4 teams who are sitting out.
Okay, cool. Good to know. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, John, and your photographic memory.
I'm on top of it.
You are on top of it today. But yeah, straight into Sandhawk to start things off. Stop it.
That is something that has really not gone well. But there's another scrap popping off over in boot camp as well, middle of the map. Moneymakers fighting out for boot camp. At the moment, they managed to take one player from foot down. Falconist has fallen. Doka Machine wants to hold off the corner, but Icy looking to try and breach in with a teammate. Gets a trade. 1-for-1. No one close enough from... Unless Kairos spots it in through the window with the DBS. Old Boy's on the hunt. And he drops down for another.
Ooh, it's getting spicy here, John. Very dangerous indeed, but Icy will clean out one of them.
Just a prank.
Who didn't drop out the parachute? All right, because I'm coming to Poland. I'm going to show you how to get into a lobby right now. Right now. I'm ready to start this day. So will you.
Oh dear. Oh wow. I think that's. I'd definitely be in the lobby, pretty sharpish if I heard that.
You would be. I'd be untying your shoelaces.
You would be
non-stop. Yeah.
Just constantly. Just like wrapped around the chairs, like the whole line of people, like with their shoelaces tied through the chairs at like a big dinner, and then they all stand up, and immediately everyone's very unhappy.
Stop being so happy. There's a rehost. We want to watch the game.
I wonder if 3D Max and...
Oh my God. Rob's has got adrenaline pumping through his veins right now. He really was ready for the fight. Yeah, I don't think they should have taken that fight with S2G. I don't know why they're still continuing to take that fight with S2G. It's gone poorly. Gone very, very poorly. His Twisted Minds. Headphones off. Straight away.
To the lobby whilst Blank flies to Poland and sorts it all out. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, focus for this update is on bettering your gaming experience. So we've added a series of improvements. First, we've added quick action functions. Starting now, you can tap to repair all items at once on the loadout page, and you can open multiple gift packs at once in your inventory. We've also improved the firearm status at the start of the match. During the preparation stage, firearms will be full auto firing mode. These improvements all aim to save your time while improving efficiency. Additionally, you can now earn EXP from Metro Royale matches. In other words, playing Metro Royale will now contribute towards raising your player level. If you bring a companion into Metro Royale, they will also earn companion EXP. Chapter 20 of the main lobby. You also have the chance to unlock home collectible decorations. Place them in your home to show them off to your friends. With the new version update come enemies who've already infiltrated Metro Royale's Arctic base and Misty Port. While you're out exploring, stay vigilant in these areas, as Striders are active there. Oh, and we've also added 2 new firearms in this update, the P90 Cobra Steel Front. Don't forget to try them out. That sums up all the new Metro Royale content. Chapter 20 is about to begin. in. Hop into PUBG Mobile Metro Royale and experience it for yourself. We wish you all successful evacuations and bountiful loot.
A little bit of a full start there on Sandhawk, but players now looking a little bit more ready. Headphones on action in the studio right now in Katowice, as everybody is once more into the lobby and taken to the skies over Sandhawk. We saw 2 hot drops right at the start of that full start game that we had to have a remake for, which was going to be the Moneymakers and Foot Chaos in Taylor's Old Time, 3D Max, S2G in Paradise Resort. Will that change? Will it be the same? Only one way to find out. Go to Sandhawk.
Yeah, your strats have been revealed now. It's a bit unfortunate. Ooh, but within the studio. That's terrifying. We are now heading from that north side down towards the south. And it looks like 3D Max and S2G can get down towards their drop spot. Fairly sharpish this time around, John.
You'd hope so. They are on the same path, and they will be going back to Paradise for the time being. It looks like we're going to have a repeat as well of the boot camp hot drop, Moneymakers and Foot Chaos. I will have to wait and see. Gladiators out to that Northwest Island, fairly expected stuff. Enigma Galaxy looking to potentially take Painan. And right now it is 3D Max who are definitely on the back foot on this engagement, but SnowX has his chance to step up for the team. There's actually quite a lot of players on their players, so a complete reversal on the engagement in boot camp.
Yeah, I'd hate that if I was the Moneymakers. You get a good win, start things off, and then Foot knows that you're coming, know your positions, kind of all goes wrong from there. Unfortunate stuff, but they'll have to salvage this somehow. So old boy sends some nades over the top there. In the meantime, Virtus Pro, I believe they're taking some heavy hits over from RCB. Malloy, similarly in a bad situation. I think they're down to just Furia and Corker now, over towards Camp Charlie.
A lot of early action.
Times.
A lot of early action there for 3D Max, for Virtus Pro. And then obviously we're on board with the Moneymakers right now. S2G really the only team who's managed to get some decent value over their casualty right now. As Foot Chaos continue to look for this chase, to look for this position. Tixie is sticking around here. You can see just on the south, well, actually, you might not be able to see. Yeah, there he is, up the top of the hill there. You can see he's looking for that third-party angle, looking to spot if he can see anyone down, pinch a point or two. And not only that, he is also a really important position for the Gladiators' future moves.
It's probably one of the wildest splits I've seen in quite a while.
It is very wild.
Literally on the other side of the map to his teammates who are over towards Camp Alpha on the Northwest Island.
But you know that Team Spirit aren't here, right? Which is this and that.
Team Spirit drop in boot camp, no?
They drop on that split around the south side.
I think they've mostly just dropped in boot camp for now, and then they usually move towards the north. It's really usually Gladiators that take control of the southwest confluence. So for Tixie to be here is a bit odd. I can understand what you mean, though. The fact that, meantime, though,
but Chaos have taken a little bit of an engagement that might not have gone super well for them. They lost Doken Machine, but they do get 4 points for it. And in these early engagements, getting that value can be very important. Power want to third party here. The res does come through. Tixie will still be hearing out all of this, hearing this engagement continue. Should have seen all those flushes come in. And RCB as well, maybe looking to push up here from the south very, very quickly into this third party.
And this is probably where I would send, if I was Gladiators, over towards this engagement. Power should constantly handle the guys over on Footballist Chaos. But they are currently. Al-Haji putting in the final couple of bullets, I believe. Get shipped out to a safer region. but more than likely will be put inside a death crate, shipped back out to the player lobby. Tixie, I think, spotted, or at least I think Fidan's just checking a usual spot. Doesn't see anyone. Gladiators are starting to roll up. Matic, though, still in Camp Alpha. I don't know, man. I don't... They've confused me a lot, John. What they're doing a lot of times doesn't seem strategically sound. And at this point, because I am not a pro player, I just have to assume that there's some reason behind it. But I cannot, for the life of me, be able to
have fewer players to get noticed in the late game.
Yeah. Like I said, strategically sound. There is a question. Think we can actually go towards the south side? Perfect time, right? RTB's just left Hainan. It's another central position in this circle. Now is not the time for dilly-dallying. Over towards Sami. You just have a look over. Again, this is frustrating. What we've seen from the stats alone that Law and Coops, blimey, right good duo with the support of a couple of their teammates and Luther and Ralph. Not big enough from this team, but they refuse to do anything that's a bit risky. They are very much hard hat wearers. They're scared of everything, although a hard hat is a good idea.
Hard hat's a very good idea in a dangerous. They're on a leash. Well, it's more like they're on a leash by their strap book at the moment.
They're out in public at the mall. They're wearing a hard hat. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You go to buy some shoes. You don't need a hard hat. He seems to wear them all the time, even when eating dinner. Make no sense. Look at it. Like Na'Vi has moved down from ruins, having a cheeky peek over towards Painan. Probably gonna get a good position off of this.
They don't even wear seatbelts.
They're not even wearing seatbelts, right? They're maybe a little bit too uncareful. They probably should always wear hard hats, these guys.
I tell you who isn't wearing their seatbelt is definitely as the Gladiators.
Look at the map. Look at the map. Enigma Galaxy started in Sami. You could have had a look at Painan, seen it was free, and headed in there. Please.
No, RCB just get to scout the entirety of their North Shore and then go straight back to Painan.
And then
go fine and totally okay.
Dear me.
RCB re-established control fully in Painan on the south border of it. Enigma Galaxy still playing towards that edge. Virtus Pro with their 2 players could survive quite a while if the circle goes south of this river and if they're able to get into a decent position earlier on.
Do you know what I really hope? I really hope S2G actually... Wow, okay. I'm not sure how that happened. I mean, they're all on land. But I think they literally shot each other at the exact same time. It looked like NRX's reticle was faffing around towards the southern edge. I want to see S2G win this game, coming all the way down from Parashasol.
Just so that you can tease 3D Max, right?
No, I honestly, 3D Max, they're out of my mind.
Okay.
It was a mistake from the start to redrop on towards S2G. They're not slouches. As soon as they know you're going to go 4 times out of 5, it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, again, there's just some real lax gameplay right now on Sandhawk. I think it's also hard to play around. If you were a good team, these are some difficult plays, and there was relatively no scouting involved either before they resituated themselves in Painan. There should have been absolutely the possibility that there was a team within Painan by the time they got back. But just no one even bothered to have a look there. If RCB wins this game, it will be a crying shame.
I mean, Na'Vi did have a little bit of a scout out towards Painan, but I guess with a circle like that. I do want to note as well, by the way, Tixie didn't go down. Like, he got knocked and then crawled all the way back and got rezzed by the Gladiators, who are now a 4-player team on the south side of Ruins. Which I find startling, that he was able to do that.
Same. You have to crawl uphill or someone comes down to you. And even then you have to go back uphill. You'd imagine Power would have seen that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that happened. But again, Gladiators have not really given me a chance to figure much out with them. So this is like a little bit of PUBG Mobile magic that Tixie's back.
Oh,
Was resurrected. Enigma Galaxy, there is a compound right in front of you.
Ooh.
Please do not let Virtus Pro get it. Please.
I don't think Virtus Pro get it. I think RCB are going to get it. They are moving up to the rocks, actually, just that sit just north of it. I think
They're scouting it. Because they assume
oh, no, they
should be there.
Wow.
Why are they still in Star Me?
They just can't let it go, you know? They're like, wait, if we stay near the edge, we'll eventually be able to play the edge of the circle whilst repeatedly being in the middle of the circle by accident.
I mean, the thing is that down towards Sami side, DA aren't playing this game. I could understand this move if DA were in the game, right? And they like to play up towards the western edge and potentially could have backstabbed over towards Sami. And this is some decent high ground to play with, right, John? It's not too bad. Like, you have all angles covered. Why not just take this compound, though, while DA's not in the game? And then if it does go further down the south, just go back to the ground that you already covered? I don't know.
Ooh, Poser. Sideswipe on to brute force there. Both teams kind of just getting picked apart by one another on that crossing from the east side. This river, very treacherous right now. Falcons and IW Next Ruya continuing to trade blows. IW Next Ruya not having the best start to today. Two players of the Falcons trying to get away here from this one. It is the off angles. Looking pretty unhealthy. And Kine is kind of exposed from the high ground. There is a player there as well, but he's behind the tree. There's the sideswipe. A nice crossfire established. Will take down IWNRX, but 2 points gone over to them in the meantime, taking the Falcons down to 2. But I don't think they're going to have a good time getting over this river anyway. Gladiators on the northwest side against Power, as Matic has the shots around the edge of the smoke, but Al Hadji wins the trade. And now far off and in the distance, they need the backup to come to them.
Power. They're just two players, Easy and Al Hadji. Two really, really strong players, actually, and they're trying to bait Frozen. Need to go back over towards him. Matic already down too. So it is just a full-on 2v2 here.
Sticking with that substitution of Frozen in for Meku into today's games, and by the looks of it, into this week as well. Frozen gets across on the crawl. I spoke too soon. Easy takes him down. And that is going to leave just Tixie and AZ on these back lines. They're waiting for them to evacuate, maybe be able to get a res, but that's not going to happen. As Matic bleeds out as well. 2 players for the Gladiators. They have no reason now to stick around. They might just want to try and get out as fast as possible. But Easy on Power, they really want these early fights. And this is a very aggressive move up for Power, but it's working out wonders because Easy wins the trade with Tixie on the high ground.
So mad.
It's the circle.
I'm so mad.
Oh dear.
I like Enigma Galaxy. And I think this is what frustrates me the most. I know that they can do it. I know that they're a good team. But god damn, you need to get away from this scared playstyle.
A little bit too timid for your liking.
It's just not the way PUBG Mobile's played anymore. At all. I think Ralph is living in almost a bygone era of PUBG Mobile.
Okay. That's fighting words. Tixie didn't have any words of his own for Power. Will go down. Gladiator is eliminated. They do get 2 points. On the south side, Enigma Galaxy will have a conflict with Twisted Minds, the remnants of Virtus Pro, trying to stay alive. Corker ditching Furia at the first possible opportunity. Gets into a pretty decent compound. There's a vehicle there, so should be worried that there's players inside. Maybe not. Oh, he is checking. Okay, he is worried. Fortunately, no one there.
It's just him. Who's it fighting his own demons over on the eastern side of the circle? I could see you out there. I know you're there.
You're stealing my mail.
Dear me. Never getting his newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
despite cancelling a subscription 2 weeks ago. He's like,
yeah, and it was me. I don't want to talk too much about Enigma Galaxy this game because it's not like they haven't done that terribly here. I mean, they've already made it up to a 6th place. They've got 1 elimination, but it just could have been so much better, right? And I give them grief because they are a good team within this lobby. That could be so much better. But again, yeah, there's just that disconnect. I mean, the nade from Coops there, perfectly placed.
Molotov to slow things down for Enigma Galaxy. Wanting to push up. You can see Coops is like, oh, can I go around the outside? And he thinks better of it. The fire will burn out and it will allow them closer on this shack. You can see a nade from Ralph being cooked nice. Just tucked in behind the door, but doesn't quite tag on.
No more nades on Ralph's side either. I think that is Lufa edging his way round for the shot. RCB get the circle. As Brute Force plays out on that eastern side.
Taking shots down towards Besiktas as well, over on that southeast edge. The northwest, starting to get a little bit hotter. S2G, your hopefuls for this match. They are sweeping around on the northern side right now, trying to take the fight around the edge. There's Lufa on that sweep that you were talking about, finding the back shot over towards Twisted Minds and doing some nice work against that rotation, sending them straight over to Besiktas, and a delivery of low HP players from Twisted Minds sent into their compound. Enigma Galaxy going to stretch out towards the north as well, and potentially look to maybe do something towards RCB compound.
Potentially able to get anything done with that. Twisted Minds, like you said, just decided to give up the ghost there. Headed over towards the guys on Besiktas. Difficult position to play from. Enigma Galaxy, this game could have been a lot easier. I'll be happy they do win it. But the amount of silly fighting that's gone on during this match, just open opportunities.
A little bit of trouble.
What has Na'Vi done?
They went down.
I mean, there were 2 players and they sent like a bat out of hell over towards RCB's compound. Died.
You give it a go, don't you? You know, sometimes you try it on, maybe get a point, maybe you don't.
Yeah, you can just play around the edges, right? Or just play on the southwest side of the rocks up towards the northwest edge.
Nate goes
the game out.
Nate goes a little bit long from Cal C. Shots around the edge of the tree trunk from Ray Z. Find Lux. S2G, they've been spotted. That's Enigma Galaxy. Lord, it's got quite the angle from all the way on the south side of the circle. Hamzy crawling back behind the headland. Lux should get flushed out here. Yeah, they're not close enough. So that is going to be Lux bleeding out. Ray Z picks up the point. Time to get the res. CEO later, who's been down since that 3D Max engagement right at the start, will not be joining them. But they have 9 eliminations for S2G and a good start to their Sandhawk.
Yeah, honestly, S2G, one of the only teams this match that I am really happy with. Again, I think their Sandhawks are wonderful, and they're a prime example of a team that doesn't take playing outside of the circle as an answer or a reason behind them doing badly on these maps. Poser sending nades in, and Ralph healing back up again. It's potentially not all Ralph either. I'm sure that the entirety of the team makes these decisions. I just think that they need to reevaluate a little bit. Out goes Lufa. Poser on the rocks. Some good backstops here from Besiktas. I like that a lot.
There was a nice little spray through the window as well. Ralph opening up to the back line. 3 players now down for Besiktas. Coops rather, going to be lining up at the back, trying to push on in because Lewis sprays down his remaining teammate. And Kakali screaming for that res right now, but Coops wants to keep the pressure up, wants to put those 3 players in their place, does not have a nade, potentially going to drop one over from one of his teammates, but no, he's just going to stick for the res.
Yeah, I mean, I think by the time Poser gets back towards his team, will probably have bled out. It's very unlikely he gets all the way back there, so Enigma Galaxy can just let him go.
Uh-oh.
Hoops gets very greedy, though. Very, very greedy. And Corker's in the wings here. could pick himself up a 4-piece. S2G moves round towards RCB, but they are losing players thick and fast here.
Yeah, with Fireflux taking shots out that way as well, it is going to be very, very difficult for them to stabilize on that northwest side with 3 players alive. Just one player, just Hamzy G remaining in that engagement. Besiktas seemingly having a pretty good time of this one over here after they've managed to get a player up, but Lewis goes down again. The blue zone is pushing them out of position, and Nick the Galaxy have stayed alive as Besiktas try to cross and get absolutely crunched out.
Yeah, RCB have just got great sight lines on them right now. Enigma Galaxy should be able to get up to a full 4-man squad. Corker looking to give Virtus Pro 2nd place potentially. If he's able to even just slow down the pusher, you can see there's not a lot of hard cover to move over that way. And with the northern shift on the circle, it's all but done for. And we look over towards Enigma Galaxy.
Those rooftop positions are just so hard to move against. Corker spotted, but gets the shot over onto Lufa. Ralph gets the trade, sticks the res. The blue zone is pushing in, so they need to be pretty snappy about this one.
Yeah, they have to leave him.
Isn't going to go for it at all, in fact. Yeah, they are just going to have to try and move forward. So it looks like they do not have smokes available, and this should be easy pickings for RCB to be able to just add those 4 eliminations to 3 eliminations now remaining. No, none eliminations remaining to their tally as RCB move into a compound that was left open for them. The door was there, but Nick the Galaxy refused to step through. Instead, it was RCB the ones to do so to take the chicken dinner.
Again, I hate to say it, but it's an unimpressive chicken dinner, right? It's a really unimpressive chicken dinner from RCB, and it's very similar to what we saw from their first day last week, which is a bit of that circle look. I mean, they left Painan completely open. They didn't leave anyone on the outer edges. You need that just in case someone pushes up towards the south side. You need a full regroup on the position. They didn't really scout out that compound towards that south side. They just directly moved in. They could have, again, easily been Virtus Pro, Enigma Galaxy, even one of the Northwestern teams inside that compound already. Even Na'Vi, for instance, could have been in that compound. I've seen plenty of times teams take that position. So RCB essentially get to flip from one place to the next with little to no, little to no like defense from any other teams. And it just goes to show how afraid some of these squads are down towards the bottom of the tables are of taking center positions. The RCB can move from Painan up towards Bootcamp, back down towards Painan, into this compound later on. It's no one scouting anything towards the center of the map. It's confusing, and I'm hoping this is just first day warm-up, right? Because this is patently much, much worse gameplay than what we saw from last week, other than, let's say, Besiktas as well as S2G, right? Yeah. I think S2G, did a great job this match. 12 points, but for all the teams that had an opportunity to get towards the center of the circle, it's the team in Paradise Resort that's able to get that far in. It doesn't make any sense.
But they make it work somehow. Like you say, they played that nicely. They took the opportunities that were presented to them and racked up 9 elimination points for their trouble. RCB, whilst they made some pretty hectic moves, did manage to maintain their security on the boundaries of their team ground, which is obviously going to play very, very well for you. The question I think you're asking is, can RCB do the same when other teams are also doing that, right? That's the question you're sort of asking.
Yeah, that compound is impossible to breach at that point, at that stage of the game. Na'Vi tried to do something about it. It was just 2 of them just died immediately. But yeah, once you get to that point, the game's won. If Enigma Galaxy had made a move earlier, sent up towards that north side, fought out versus RCB as they came down from Painan, it's open ground. They should have easily won that fight. It would have been a chicken dinner, and I guarantee you, if Enigma Galaxy made that kind of push, they would have picked up a lot more eliminations as well. I mean, Lord and Coops, Lufa's a great scout as well, so would have been able to pass that information back. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. Look at the damage coming through from RCB. Barely anything. It was pretty much just those final eliminations that they were able to bag there. Respect to them, honestly. Respect to them, because they're the only team that was like, centers open, let's take it.
Yeah, they took that initiative, right? And even if maybe they could have scouted it slightly better, they were the ones to do so, and they were the ones to move fast, which of course paid out for them in that long run. Plenty of scrapping early on, which we are pretty, I think, in accord that we disagree with that as a good idea to continue. That classic old 3D Max versus S2G in Paradise Resorts. And the Moneymakers are taking that unfortunate restart loss in the boot camp after having pretty handily won it the first time around before that rehost.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. That's really unfortunate for the Moneymakers. I think that Sandhawk is a map that they tend to thrive in, just because like it's all opportunity based, right? And I think that's where they definitely shine, is in terms of taking those quick fire decisions to get back into the game quickly with the third party. We'll be getting back into the game very quickly as well, but just after this short break. So don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with you soon.
After what was an interesting first match on Sandhawk, RCB were able to take home the chicken dinner and put themselves out to an early lead on 19 points. We are going to be getting over to Erangel next, so away from the jungle, potentially a little bit calmer on some of those early hot drops that we saw in the first map.
Indeed. I mean, I think that first game was a bit of a teething issue for quite a few teams here. It felt like the overall quality of the play had declined since last week, because I think those middling days last week were absolutely insane in terms of the skill on display from a lot of these squads. It felt like there was only a few teams there. I don't want to say taking it seriously, because I think everyone takes this tournament very, very seriously at the PMSL, EMEA, but just a lot of mistakes that I don't think that we should be seeing at PMSL right now occurring there and then. Frustrating. Obviously, I'm sure these teams will get back into the groove of things very, very quickly. But yeah.
Thank you very much. Into our first map of Erangel for the day. The playing path is a little bit lent over to that northeastern side here, meaning places like Primorsk, like Ferry Pier, that southwest point. It'll be a little bit harder to get to, but you can just grab those vehicles and hopefully get out there nice and early. Is it IWNRX dropping on Twisted Minds? Where are Twisted Minds? They're in a different place. Okay, they are going to be out and may most likely heading out towards Stalber and Kameshki on a split. IWNRX hot drops them on our last day of games, which is why I was maybe quite tentatively excited about them going out towards Zaki again. But why are they doing that?
Dropping in Zaki here? Not sure, honestly. I think that it sort of makes sense if I really put the old brain to the grinding stone, which in the sense that they usually drop down towards Ferry Pier, right? So these are similar rotates they have to make from Zaki and Ferry Pier, just on the opposite end of things. So they want to keep the similar teams in this area, rather than having to research a whole different set of squads on the other side of the map. I still think there's probably better places you could go, but with North and South George being so hotly contested all of the time, Zaki's probably one of the only remaining places to go. I think that there could be better decisions to be made. However, I'm not gonna go too deep on a team that is currently technically the best performing squad in the lobby. So see how it works out for them. Definitely didn't work out for them when they were hot dropping on Twisted Minds.
They had a really bad time over there. They, I think, technically won the engagement, but then Onyx Ravens third-partied them from North George. Speaking of North George, by the way, Blank, I think you're going to be pretty happy about this. 3D Max, they have repositioned over to North George and will not drop over to Yasnaya on our first match to contest with S2G, leaving S2G completely open as well to get the full loot all across Yasnaya.
Yeah, this is really, really nice for the guys over on 3D Max, and gives them a lot of time to get that loot back in the old satchel, because I think that they have started to realize it's not worth it going for S2G as often. They're starting to really heat up. I don't think that's how you drive.
Who gave him a license? Come on. He is drifting about, smacking into trees, having a bad time. They really want another vehicle. Well, they should do at least. They are going to be able to find one over in Novo when they end up there. They'll be able to grab them out. Yeah, there we go. Right up to the garage. Take a quarter of Neos' health bar out and get on your way. No. There we go. Seatbelts on.
Seatbelts back on. Enigma Galaxy on your screens at the moment. Over towards Pachinki. Again, right on the edge of the circle here. I truly believe that this is a team that could easily be in the top 3. And I think that's why it's so frustrating for me.
Were they in your top 3?
I think I placed them in my top 3, but there is certainly teams in here that could do a lot better than them right now with the way they're currently playing. But there are so many times where the option is there for them. And again, I think that you put it best as it's just timid gameplay coming through from Nigma Galaxy. They do have a long scout out right now, going far into the circle, potentially looking for a central position, switching things up slightly.
Hopefully they'll be able to have a Scooby snack and not be quite as timid, not quite as nervous moving into this match. As you say, Lufa scouting out all the way in the west near Gatka, in and amongst Power, who have been very aggressive in the early game so far more prevalently towards the end of last week and the start of this week now as well. They are getting very aggy as soon as they hear some fighting going on. They want that third party almost immediately, so you don't want to really be getting in their way if you don't want that to be coming your way.
Getting in towards that zone as fast as possible. I think a lot of teams over on that eastern edge now have decided to, amongst themselves, that they're too late, and they're most likely going to have to play edge on these circles, at least for a little while. I am glad to see Nigma Galaxy moving so early here. It's a vast change from their wrangles last week, allowing some of the players to loot up in Pachinki, and now moving the rest of the squad off towards that central position. Gladiators scouting up on the top side of Everest. They have got caught out here last week. I say yesterweek, which is not the... Maybe I could bring that.
I like it, though.
That could be a new thing. Ye olde yesterweek.
Oh, dear. Yesterday? Can we have yestermatch?
Yestermatch? I think people say yesteryear.
Yeah, you do say yesteryear. I think that's more of like meaning like of a certain age, right? It's like, back in yesteryear.
Yeah.
We rode our bikes to school.
Maybe we just start doing all of them though.
Yeah. Exactly. Just the Yester roster of Unicorns of Love was
was totally different to the one they have now.
To the current one. Absolutely.
Oh dear me. Sad to not see them playing actually.
Yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it? Besiktas trying to make sure that at least one of IWNRX can't play, who are now on the northern side of Everest. South of the river, though, they have gotten across. 3D Max and Falcons both pretty close to them, so maybe they stumble across one another. Gladiators still on the top of Everest. This time around, they will be okay for the time being, with AZ sent on a pretty far west split for scouting.
Yeah, spotting down towards Besiktas here. Again, 3D Max now making their way down, as are IWNRX, so Gladiator's position might become a little bit more troublesome soon. But for now, you do have AZ out towards that western side. I think you mentioned that as a bit of an anchor.
Yeah.
They'll head down there later. It's a bit of an awkward position on the map, right, John? Where there are plenty of spaces where this circle could go, and all of them do have awkward rotational paths to them.
Not quite as many options as a lot of these teams would like, certainly. Falcons playing in the chopsticks in those storm drains over around Gatka. Actually, I say Falcons, it's just Damar right now, because the rest of the team are split quite far up north behind both Fireflux that you can see on the minimap and Besiktas, who are in the foothills of Everest. You can see there on that split around the ruins area, the rest of Falcons. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to make it through what should be a pretty hot area of land in terms of teams. This circle, it feels like actually not too much has changed on the dynamics of it.
No, we've essentially just enclosed it, right? That's all. And teams understand pretty much where they want to go. Luckily, this is moving away from North George, as well as Everest. And I think a lot of teams have already decided they wouldn't be playing up towards those areas. So it's not the end of the world for a lot of squads right now. Some teams out over towards the outer edges of the circle, even maybe in the blue, might want to start getting a move on. looking down towards Brute Force at the moment, as well as the Moneymakers, in fact, who have had a bit of a slow start to their match here in Primorsk. Though, honestly, this is a situation where a lot of teams don't put too much stock over towards Quarry, and I know that Moneymakers do for a fact. So they could just get an easy position on the northern edge of Quarry, where it onlooks a lot of this fielded area. Potentially make a play from there, which is why Moneymakers are so happy to stay on the edge for the time being. Equally so, they've got Virtus Pro in this area, as well as Footballist Chaos. You must have been watching those games from last week, made a similar rotate down that way. So space might be a little bit sparse here for the Moneymakers to play around.
First point being accrued by the Gladiators. The first player to go down here fully from power in the foothills of Everest. Gaith might not be so far behind to be the second. After first blood has been drawn, Loxy for RCB, putting nades in. And we'll be able to find it as well. The bounce on that, right on top of Gaith, and that will be the end of him. Falcons down to 3 as well.
If going out a bit unideal. I think it's always really bad losing a player right off the back. As soon as especially being over towards this observatory location, you don't want to be losing a member at the start, because it really does require to have all members left alive to defend that spot. There's a few angles you can take. You don't want to be getting caught off here. So Ragnar tries to take a cheeky off angle. That looks like a fairly decent grenade. Pops on him, does a fair bit of damage. A Wild looks to send another.
That's a little bit better as well, but Ragnar strafed out of that one. Unfortunately, the first one wasn't quite on target enough for response, but not going to quite land. South side has been hotting up around the quarry area as well, Blank. There's a lot of action popping off down there as these nades find their mark. Both ways, in fact, as both Damar and Wild go down to them. Another one bursting right in the face of Loxy, meaning he's falling as well. RCB now starting to flag. 2 versus 2 standing in this engagement. I think there is still the backup yet to come in for the backlines of RCB.
It's an interesting engagement. A lot of nades been sent over. And some good shots coming through from RCB. At the very least for them, they'll be able to get themselves back up to 3. Na'Vi pushed off from Nigma Galaxy's position as they headed up just towards that south side. And the circle moves far up towards that northwest. Doesn't look like a massive shift, but with it being slightly in the water as well, this western coastal area is a really big focal point for a lot of teams. Gives you plenty of time to figure out what you want to do next and plenty of cover to make it happen, as opposed to a lot of the fielded area over towards the east, unless you are one of the early teams to get towards a spot inside a compound. Very difficult to play around here. So I think for Fireflux, as well as Nigma Galaxy down towards the southeast side, they've got a tough game ahead of them.
Foot Chaos moving in south of 3D Max's western duo. You can see Narvalo and SnowX just off there in the distance, a 2-2 split on a northern area of the circle. S2G, they're going to sweep all the way around and be behind Twisted Minds. They are going to dip into the blue somewhat. It's stage 3. You can see they are just topping up with those stims to make sure they're nice and healthy coming out of the blue. IWNRX wanting to hold off against Twisted Minds, but both of them just going to try and diverge here. Zedwolf has got that high ground. It looks like they know there's a player in this building, though, because Jafar has already got the nade. He turns away. Is it going to bobble right in front of him? That is so unfortunate for Zedwolf to turn away exactly the moment that he steps out in the corner and the nade comes in. It sits right at his feet, takes him all the way down. Never Alone gets the flush. Dammy misses the second nade, and there is the response from Swain, but they've already lost Zedwolf. Really interesting turn of events, and here's the third party for S2G.
Yeah, this is a big move from S2G, who just comes through and flattens Swain on the ground. I love that from Zedwolf. Looked out the window, saw the nade come in, saw it at his feet, literally looked at it and said, there's nothing I can do here.
Had a bad
Twisted
time.
Minds, kryptonite of IWNRX. Even when they don't hot drop them, they still come to hunt them down here. S2G in the sidelines now, playing on that really strong position towards the hilltops on that western side. this fight, even if it does conclude at some point, it'll be under constant harassment from the guys from S2G.
Yeah, they'll have such a big problem to deal with. And look at the Gladiators as well. They are covering those routes of exit on the eastern side if they want to try and bug out away from that western edge hold by S2G. The Gladiators are a little bit split, though, so might be a little bit more forgiving on that way. And I feel like I know which team I'd take a fight with if I was either Twisted Minds or IWNRX in this scenario. However, out to that direction, it's just open fields, so you know it's dangerous.
Yeah, I think for IWNRX as well, it's unlucky they're on the western side of the building being forced out there because now they're pinched, right? They're absolutely pinched. Power do go down after sending a dangerous crossover towards Besiktas. Gladiators also making a wild approach over towards Besiktas. Matic in the vehicle. See if I can get done here. Does just scout it and leave. Tixie's still within the blue. AZ's found a position over towards those foothills. They're off the back of, and Besiktas now finds themselves in a tricky spot to remove themselves.
Virtus Pro finding a rundown on brute force, and that will be curtains for them. 3D Max looking like they are going to stay alive for now. They're keeping Virtus Pro at bay on the roll-up. Virtus Pro trying to dodge these nades, but look at them just continually being cooked, thrown out. Suppression to the Virtus Pro position. Furia's like, well, it's probably less dangerous right up next to them, if anything. Rob's breaking out through that smoke cover. Gets turned around by a volley of bullets sent their way from an off angle. I think that's Foot Chaos out on that western edge as Furia continues to try and divert a little bit of attention, circling his team with his vehicle.
Yeah, but you sort of already lost this fight now between 3D Max, unless you get a really good grenade back over towards them. As soon as you get slowed down, they knew they had to use all this smoke cover to try and make their way up towards the building, which is why you saw 3D Max invest so many grenades here. To slow down, to halt the approach. As soon as those smokes dissipate, you're opened up in towards that next circle by a lot of sightlines on towards that position. So realistically, all 3D Max needs to do is just hold this spot. Enigma Galaxy down towards that southeast side said they're going to have a tough time of getting in. Ralph drops. No way. There's no way that's an intentional grenade. Drops the vehicle, pops it into the air, blocks the bullets.
Happens, you know. Ralph goes down, gets flushed. Soulless down for Firefluxes. Teams trying to navigate this southeast side, not having the best of times. Besiktas trying to get Poser through the gap. Through the gulch they go. And the reloads give him a little bit of time, but it's only a countdown to his demise as Besiktas will be eliminated in 14th.
It didn't take long that. And IWNRX will fall there. Falter in front of Twisted Minds. They knew they'd have to push through them at some point, just does not work. Gladiators have been keeping an eye over towards Fireflux and Besiktas for a long while now. Finish off both of the Turkish squads before Lufa can pick up Frozen.
Matic close by, Tixie there as well, but Lufa not going to take too much from them. The nade goes a little bit far to the left. Gladiator's gonna have to abandon this one. Frozen goes down, standing a little bit too out in the open. Hang on a minute. No, he can grab him, put him in the buggy and try and get on the rotation. Should be just about enough time. The question is, can they get to a safe position? Those northern fields really got to be the respite now for a lot of these dribs and drabs teams at this stage. Center of the circle, it is all about 3D Max and their compound hole.
Yeah, and I think that most teams should know that this is a really strong compound to hold in. And if I was any of these teams down towards the southeast, looking at Enigma Galaxy RCB, probably holding over towards the bank by the swamp is a good idea at this point, because you can hold in that location for a while, clear out all the teams coming in from that eastern side, and you have that guard over towards 3D Max. You can't really see over towards you. Falcons, 2 players, holding off Enigma.
Doesn't quite get the damage on the spray up, but there is a re-knock, however. Going blow for blow right now in this stage isn't going to work out, and in fact doesn't in the long run, because RCB chime in on the back lines. That's going to be a res, and it will be continual approach now for Enigma Galaxy. In the meantime, Moneymakers on the southwest side with Gonzo on their side flank there. They need to be worried on those off angles. Bishke down, but getting rezzed right now. As Na'Vi want to keep the suppression towards this southwest edge, keep the Moneymakers penned in.
Yeah, Na'Vi holding a pretty dangerous split, but gives them a huge amount of control over towards the southwest side. Moneymakers don't really have too many places they can go, so Na'Vi opts for a difficult split here in favor of potentially success.
Ooh, 1 for 1 on the roll-up. Na'Vi holding out fairly successfully here. Koa, last player now to stand, has to move up to his teammate. I think they did get the knock on the player playing by the tree, but they went down in the end, and it is just Axa now. If Koa can hold it off or go for a res here, could be really, really important. Koa with the challenge, but Axa puts it to bed around the side of the smoke. He had his wits about him. The UMP was there just in time. However, a lot of damage done to the Na'Vi roster, and they will be playing down as 2. Gonzo unlikely to be rezzed here as well, so maybe just 1, no, none, as Na'Vi do fall as well.
Yeah, good grenades here from RCB. Slowly but surely hanging out on the sidelines. And again, this position around the bank of the coast is very, very smart to go for. Leaving Silas behind with that little bit of high ground towards the center of the swamp. Look over towards Enigma Galaxy as they make their way in. Silas very good on the long-range pickoffs. Oh, I don't know why it feels like today RCB has suddenly decided that they're going to be the smartest in the lobby.
Well, it's working out right now. Certainly against Enigma Galaxy as they get eliminated, flushed away. RCB with 3 players and 6 elims on the table can now, after having removed that pressure from their southeast side, look to move up to that ridgeline that you talked about. But 3D Max have still got eyes on. Such a powerful compound for 3D Max, and the next circle might just keep it in. We'll have to wait and see. But RCB losing another player. This is probably the kindest circle to everybody who isn't 3D Max in this lobby. Putting them right on the edge of the next circle will force them to think about having to move out and thereby weaken their stronghold in this really central compound they've had for so long now.
Yeah, I mean, you could also put it the other way around as well, though, John, right? Because everyone else is going to have to force their way through this position on the outside edge. You make your way out towards the field. You have to expend resources to get towards those positions. Whereas 3D Max can just basically wait this circle out for quite a while.
But the other teams would have had to have done that anyway, to an extent, right? Kind of just no matter where the circle went. And the fact that 3D Max now have an extra little burden may be a help to them, but CEO later needs more than that. Goes down, but as his teammates going to be able to keep him alive, keep them in the fight. Ray-Z on the northern shore will be able to hold the high ground down. 4 players for S2G. This should be resable for at least 1. Maybe put Kelsey in the buggy, get the res on the other, and try and scarper that way, because I don't think you're getting them both up in location. Hamzy G has that forward position, but I think, yeah, Kelsey getting knocked out there. Gladiator spot something. And the rest of... Oh dear, yeah, the rest of S2G going very, very low. Nades from Virtus Pro continually trying to find an opening towards 3D Max.
Yeah, looking for at least one of them. That looks like a decent grenade over towards the top. Does a lot of damage towards Furia. In comes another one. Good step up from Furia, but even better from Victor. Bouncing it off the door there. Understanding the only place he could have done was to get up towards that little cusp. On the top side, smart stuff. Will finally go down, but more nades put out. Somehow, Corker is able to remove himself from that scenario. Massive grenades coming through from Malloy.
RCB as well.
3D Max remains in here for quite some time.
RCB moving in from that eastern side. They're poking their noses in for a third party. 3 players from Virtus Pro. Here's the side swipe. Silas not quite connecting onto Milky Way, but Corker eats the majority of the bullets there. Malloy unawares. They don't know he's here. Silas just completely lights him up. Milky Way hops in, and Narvalo's ready with the DBS. Now he can look for the res onto Rob. Snowix as well will be resable, but Gladiators want to fourth party this as well, as RCB have Silas up in the play. Matic putting nades in from this north side as well. Molotovs going on in. Nades splitting the difference. The res came through, and 3D Max still looking to hold. Narvalo splits out, but the nade in through the window, it's not even going to find him.
Looks decent on that nade there, and it is. We'll take down Snowix completely and fully knock Robs there. RCB over towards this eastern side, and Gladiators have made a pretty good set of moves this game. Matix gets knocked down. Malloy has to hit the deck, but Frozen coming through with the P90. Extremely low on bullets, though, and looks like they might have just finished it off there. Not before AZ took a huge amount of damage. Matix, 7 eliminations on this guy.
This is the game that the Gladiators were looking for now. 14 eliminations to the team right now, and still a few more waiting. Tasty morsels to add to that chicken dinner. The side plates that you know you want to see. Gladiators, 3 players alive, having lost Tixie. Frozen moving up. They moved quite far and quite fast to go for this 4th party onto the engagement on the compound that 3D Max have held for so long. And I am quite happy to see that 3D Max have made it to at least 3rd place in this scenario from that position that was so strong for them. A lot of conflict sent their way, but they've only managed to piece together 3 eliminations from all of it.
Yeah, it's not great, and I think this is the problem when you have a team playing a central location like this. Oh my days. I don't know if this is going to go too well now. Valor has to step up here, but Silas has been the arbiter over towards this eastern side. AZ might be going down.
Ooh.
There's some crazy stuff from Silas here. Almost single-handedly holding out Nigma Galaxy. Now looking to put a dent in towards Gladiators towards the end of the day. This bank here down towards the south side gives you so much cover to play around with. No one else really challenged them because they cleared out most of the contestants earlier on. Matic makes the move, should be able to get AZ back up again, but Silas looks to split the difference. Frozen's behind, and he's going to send him for the 1v1.
He knows that there's a player off on that high ground, but he has to draw short. Will need cover, won't find it. Gladiators close down the match, putting up the best result that they've seen in a long time here. 24 points on the match. I believe that was 14 eliminations they were able to rack up right towards the end. A really strong showing from the northern side. It felt like they kind of were just picking people apart on the northern edge for quite a while. The impressive move that they made was going across the field for that 4th party on the compound.
Yeah, I think they had just a great understanding of where they needed to play over towards that field area. There's a lot of strong little positions you can hold on there, but eventually you need to start clearing out the teams in that area. You can't stick around that spot forever. You need to move in at the right time now. I think they were lucky that no one played on that bank. Again, I was so confused. We didn't see more teams head over towards that area. RCB didn't try to control that as much as I assumed they would. Because it's, like you saw from Silas, it's quite difficult to take shots over towards you there. So the fact that it was literally just him by the end of it seemed a little bit off to me. But yeah, other than that, they made some strong movements. I think AZ was consistently holding the zone. And in a way, he was sort of dragging the rest of the team with him to try and get them into position. So I like that from AZ, particularly AZ. And it worked out. It worked out very, very well here. Silas, though, 100% deserves the, I would say, MVP category for this game. I think he did so much for RCB here. And I'm honestly impressed and surprised by their play today.
Yeah, they have so far impressed. Coming off a 19-point chicken dinner to get a 2nd place with 15 points total on the match. RCB going to be very, very happy here. Gladiators as well, 15 elimination points. I thought it was only the 14, but they got that 25 clean. And they will be happy to add that to their tally to kick off week number 2, where they absolutely need to improve on their week 1 performance. S2G as well, similarly, very smart today, and I feel like they've done good things on Sandhawk. You praised them for that in the last match, and again, here, they've managed to find some value out of this match. 3D Max, a little bit disappointing on what they were able to do with the points, but still, 8 points, you take that.
The thing is with 3D Max in that location is that leaving Virtus Pro at your doorstep was probably one of the worst mistakes you could have made there. There are so many teams that do not want to engage with you in that location, right? And there's only so much amount of time before that bank starts to be clustered on your southern edge. So you need to deal with Virtus Pro at some point and then start taking pot shots to the teams around you, because that's what that position affords you. It affords you just 360 control from that location. And 3D Max seemed to just sort of rent the place out and watch TV inside of it, not do too much from there other than that initial onslaught of grenades. And they had to make a bit of a play. I think right now, though, they're probably pleased with an 8-pointer, to be honest, because it has been fairly unfortunate. So you just take the 8 points and call it a 4-point average right now.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to keep those numbers up, right? A medal result for 3D Max would be an improvement over that last week. So trying to just get anything where they can take it. Potentially good news there. It felt like perhaps that Swamp Ridge was generally quite underutilized in that last match to see what they were able to do. And I think that's something that you were sort of expecting. And you said there that it was not quite as used as it was. It was only Silas really on RCB who was trying to hold that location.
Yeah, it didn't quite track, because I think if you go back and watch any number of games played on a angle and in this position, that bank tends to be one of the most important locations on the map, because again, it gives you protection over towards the team that is playing in that compound above you, gives you third-party control. As long as you close out on the southeast side, there's not many teams that can challenge you. You can also hold up to 2 teams over towards that north and south side, and it tends to usually be the north and the south team on that bank with that circle that actually fights out for the chicken dinner. Again, I was sort of confused there, and it does feel a little bit like RCB is the one making the pseudo PUBG Mobile correct decisions right now, and everyone else seems to be playing their own game.
Well, it's working out for them right now. They have got a lot of points for their troubles in our first 2 matches. We've still got more for you today. We'll be on a break. We'll be right back with more.
Hi everyone, PUBG Mobile Metro Royale Chapter 20 is coming soon. Curious about what new content there is? Let's take a look. Our focus for this update is on bettering your gaming experience, so we've added a series of improvements. First, we've added quick action functions. Starting now, you can tap to repair all items at once on the loadout page, and you can open multiple gift packs at once in your inventory. We've also improved the firearm status at the start of the match. During the preparation stage, firearms will be reloaded by default and will be set to full auto firing mode. These improvements all aim to save your time while improving efficiency. Additionally, you can now earn EXP from Metro Royale matches. In other words, playing Metro Royale will now contribute towards raising your player level. If you bring a companion into Metro Royale, they will also earn companion EXP. Chapter 20 also brings brand new honor rewards and collectibles. What's different this time is that after you get certain gold collectibles, they can be displayed in your personal space of the main lobby. You also have the chance to unlock home collectible decorations. Place them in your home to show them off to your friends. With the new version update come enemies who've already infiltrated Metro Royale's Arctic base and Misty Port. While you're out exploring, stay vigilant in these areas, as Striders are active there. Oh, and we've also added two new firearms in this update, the P90 Cobra and P90 Steel Front. Don't forget to try them out. That sums up all the new Metro Royale content. Chapter 20 is about to begin. Hop into PUBG Mobile Metro Royale and experience it for yourself. We wish you all successful evacuations and bountiful loot.
Round number 2 of Erangel up now for you. As in the PMSL EMEA, we're going to be heading right back into the action after two pretty solid games on the trot from RCB. They'll be looking to try and convert Gladiators standing tall with a big 25-point chicken dinner. S2G just behind them on the overalls right now with 22 points for S2G and 27 for Gladiators.
I mean, if we don't 15-plus elimination game we've seen from the Gladiators so far, which sounds weird. I mean, albeit that other 15-plus elimination game did come on the Eastern Island over on Miramar. So it's a bit different, right? It's a bit of a different scenario there. But we're heading into our third Erangel of the day. It is indeed.